systems, which can be very, very unreliable.
Yes. We have some more information coming in now. India has briefed Iran on the cross-border links behind the recent terror attack in Pahalgam, Jammu and Kashmir. In high-level talks between the foreign ministers, both nations strongly condemned terrorism in all forms and agreed to cooperate against the growing threat. I want to move on now to apologies. And I want to ask, how have you seen the foreign players in this? Patrick, you've obviously had mass calls for de-escalation around the world, including from Iran, whose top diplomat, Abbas Araghchi, is currently in New Delhi. What have you thought of the international response so far? America has obviously said that it will not get involved. It said J.D. Vance, who was in India when the attack happened, said that America will not get involved. What can you tell me, and what do you think about the international response? And do you think it's getting enough attention?
Well, I think it's at a starting point now. I mean, President Trump came out and said, as many hope, that he hopes it ends soon. Of course, Turkey has come out and pledged solidarity with Pakistan. And really, I think the international response as going forward, depending on the escalation, is really going to say a lot of the outcome here and how quick this dissolves, of course.
Yes, I wanted to move on to you next, Air Vice Marshal Kapil Kak. Same question. Do you think what have you made of the international response so far, and do you think the international community is paying enough attention to what's going on in Jammu and Kashmir and along the western border of India right now?
This has been a position of the international community from decades, ever since India and Pakistan both nuclearized in May of 1998. And the premise is that Western powers, including Russia and China, have known how to do conflict under a nuclear overhang. But they were not quite certain about India and Pakistan. And I'd like to suggest that the experience of the last 27 years has been that India and Pakistan have had skirmishes. They've had little problems here and there, including use of force in Uri, including the riposte to Uri, surgical strikes, and then everyone is aware of our action in Balakot in neutralizing the terror camps. So I think that is the first factor. I'd like to suggest that yes, J.D. Vance's statement taken in isolation shows a degree of disinterest because we are not going to get involved. But may I suggest for your consideration a counter in terms of a report, very authentic, that Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, spoke to the Prime Minister of Pakistan, Shehzad Sharif, and said there should be de-escalation. And what is more important from the Indian government's perspective, that terrorism must not be encouraged in Pakistan. What exact words were, I'm not sure. But we also see that the European Union has also taken a very strong stance, and particularly from the humanitarian security perspective, that no civilian populations should be targeted. Whereas what we witnessed from last 57 years is intense level of attacks on line of control through artillery barrages, and particularly artillery barrages and heavy mortar on civilians in towns. I give you example of Punch. You could have this validated. A population about 475,000, in 120 square kilometers of area, the entire town has evacuated because they can take it no more. Now, they're not military people. They're not supporters of any terrorists or whosoever they may be in Pakistan, whether in operations in Balochistan, whatever. They are civilians like all of us. I'm also civilian, being a retired air marshal. We are living in day-to-day basis. Another element of the international community is the role of the IMF. International Monetary Fund is supposed to look at Pakistan's financial bailout package, which was supposed to be due yesterday. I don't know whether that meeting is held or is postponed to a couple of days. But India's External Affairs Minister Jaishankar has categorically conveyed to IMF that you need to look deeply within before any bailout package is given to Pakistan. So the international community's involvement in this conflagration is intense. And I think in the end, it has a very, very deep significance towards this de-escalation, as you termed it. I also would like to suggest that the National Security Advisor of India is also in touch with the National Security Advisor of Pakistan.
Yes.
So there may be no Ministry of External Affairs linkages across the line of control and the border between the two countries, but the apex level national security managers are in touch with each other. You mentioned about Iran. Iran is, of course,
yes.
Agachi was supposed to be on a scheduled visit. But please make a note, worth doing so. We had the Saudi Arabian Minister of State come in at short notice to New Delhi. So therefore, much is happening.
Yes, Air Vice Marshal Kak, I'm really, really sorry. I'm going to have to interrupt you. We need to finish on some breaking news now that's coming in. Pakistan's Defence Minister, Khawaja Asif, has revealed that he is in daily talks with Saudi Arabia, Qatar and China to help de-escalate the tensions with India. Asif emphasised the importance of diplomatic efforts to avoid further crisis. And I'm very sorry, but that is all we have time for. Thank you very much to all three of our guests for joining us in that fascinating discussion. And that is all we have time for. Thank you. And keep following NewsX World for more.